edition.
All right, my Whistle Talk family, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk. Tonight, you got Mike D, the referee, doing a little solo show. We are going to be diving into, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be diving into the NFHS rule book. Going to try to do a couple different segments on, let's just say, a rule a week, or attempting to do a rule a week. And we're going to go right through the book, starting with Rule 1. But for this week's episode, going to keep this one a little bit short. We're going to go over the rules changes for 2025 and some of the upcoming rule changes that NFHS has in place for us for the next couple of years. So I got a little PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to share with you all, and we're going to talk about some of the upcoming rule changes for this coming season. And like last season, there's not a lot of new changes, a couple of modifications, couple tweaks, uh, again, more for the safety issue, more with the communication stuff, and trying to get more in line with what we're all seeing on the weekends, or at least to try to make everybody else out there understand what they see on the weekends, on the Saturday afternoons and the Sunday afternoons might not be the same as what we're doing and working on a Friday nights. But before I dive into the episode a little bit further, I want to share with you all just a quick thing, something, a new venture that I've started called Debro Destinations. I am now a licensed travel agent, ladies and gentlemen, and I got a little commercial here that I want to play for you. Just I got to do a little bit of a plug here, but basically, I'm going to be diving into the world of sports travel. So if anybody out there that's listening has any um, bucket list items that they want to go see, be it a game, a round of golf you want to play, World Cup's going to be coming up soon, hit me up at dbrodestinations@gmail.com. And here's just a quick short commercial for you.
Welcome to Debro Destinations, your ultimate partner for unforgettable sports travel experiences. From the excitement of the Super Bowl to the global spectacle of the World Cup, we offer exclusive access to major sporting events worldwide. Cheer on your favorite teams in college sports or experience the electric atmosphere of the English Premier League. For golf enthusiasts, explore our curated golf packages at top courses around the world. Whether it's a corporate outing or a fan experience at an iconic stadium, our team ensures seamless logistics and unforgettable memories. And for young athletes, let Debro Destinations create unforgettable youth team experiences, so you can focus on the games instead of the travel. Plan your dream event today with Debro Destinations and make your sports travel bucket list a reality. Email Mike D at debrodestinations@gmail.com.
All right, so that's just a little short commercial of what I got going on here with Debro Destinations, kind of piggybacking off of Whistle Talk here. Uh, But now that we've got all that fun stuff done and out of the way, let's dive into our episode today. So let me share my screen talking about the new NFHS rule changes for 2025. All right. So as you can see, we got the NFHS rule changes, what players and coaches need to know for the upcoming season, and again for the new seasons in the future, 26 and 27. And for my fans out there that are listening, you understand that each year when we get our new NFHS rule book and we start diving into it, well, you're going to see right here on beyond the table of contents is we have our rule changes, and the 2024 rules changes were the jerseys of the home team shall be all the same dark color that clearly contrast with the whites. And then there were a couple of editorial changes, but not much in the sense of rule changes. And we got kind of the same thing this year. We do got one big one that we're going to talk a little bit more about. So, going right down the list, and I pulled this off of the NFHS's newsletter that they publish and email to all of us. Um, But let's talk about electronic communication and equipment regulations. So the NFHS has now altered their rule 1-53C2, that they are allowing more type of electronic devices for signaling in plays from the sidelines. Now, again, let me emphasize that for signaling in plays from the sidelines. No in helmet communication devices are allowed. Okay. I got to repeat that one. You're not allowed to have anything in the helmet. So there is no coach to quarterback comm system. There's no coach to middle linebacker making the defensive formations and defensive calls type of communication. Okay. This is from the sidelines. So what a lot of teams are doing, for those that don't understand it, is, well, you got the wristbands. You got the day and age with the wristbands, and teams are trying to figure out better and quicker, more efficient ways to signal into the team, the quarterback, whomever it may be, if they're no huddle, okay, the particular formations and whatever the play may be. And until this modification came into play, you weren't allowed to use any type of electronic board on the sideline. Um, so some people were using old school dry erase boards, and then you get a rainy day or a humid day, and weren't able to see that. Coaches are losing their voices because they're screaming out whatever the plays are, things like that. So this now allows for some type of sideline rules communication. Okay. Again, this is going to be from the sidelines. There is no videos that can be shown to the players while the players are on the field. So basically, while the players are between the numbers, okay, there can be no type of video communication. With today's day and age, again, with Huddle and DV Sports and different things like that, you can't show the players, and the players can't listen to any type of communication going on in their helmet or on the field. This is basically just between sideline to sideline, that the players are able to look over to the sideline, get their play call, get their formation, whatever it may be, and then go from there. Once again, have to emphasize no in helmet communication. That still stays the same, which now goes to our next one. And this one is kind of wild to me, but still no audio and video devices. They're restricted. We were having players that were wearing little microphones and more so little cameras on their body, um, to try to video because of social media. Stuff was going viral out there. So this rule 1-5-3C3 says no audio or video recording devices are permitted during the game. This applies to all players during the match, during the game. And a violation could result in in an equipment disqualification. Now, I'm still waiting to get clarification on what equipment disqualification is, or if the player themselves are going to be disqualified, but they're probably going to end up taking out the particular item. Again, still waiting on a little bit of clarification on my end, so I could be wrong. It may be out there already. I just got to double check it all before I pass that on to you. But what players were doing is they were using either the little headphones that I got in right now, not to just listen to music, not to do a podcast or something like that, but these little earphones also have microphones on it. And somebody on the sideline may have been recording them with their cell phone. With the Bluetooth technology that we have today, now their voice is being picked up, and now kids are videoing themselves and having audio from in the game, and that is not allowed. And we did see it before. It was put into play last year. We had talked about it in our association about keeping an eye on it. If you see a kid take their helmet off and you see an AirPod hanging out of their ear, well, that's illegal. Again, we're not just talking about communication with the sidelines for getting plays. We're now talking about communication with social media world. So all of these things are illegal. They cannot be worn during the game, cannot be worn on the field whatsoever. Now, pregame, you got a kid out there with a pair of headphones on and they're listening to music pregame. That's fine. Once the game starts, though, we're not having any of that stuff. So keep an eye on it, because there's a lot of little spy gadgets that are out there, to say the least, for that people are trying to put onto their equipment. If you think about the GoPros that a lot of different athletes will put on helmets, you'll see it kind of like on the bike riders or snowboarders or skiers and stuff like that. That stuff's illegal in football, so can't have it. I know the XFL had it with with some of the different cameras that they had on the field years ago, and you'll still see every once in a while the referee cam, where sometimes they have it in the brim of their hat and they're showing it from that point of view, which is great stuff. And I know the friends at Ref Reps are doing some point of view type of stuff, but for the gameplay, can't happen. Can't have it on the players whatsoever. Another fun one. And this one, the rule states that it's going to be going into effect in 2026, but it's 1-5-1D5. And we're talking about the mouthpieces now. Protectors cannot have any unnecessary attachments. And I've got a picture here of the Baby Binky mouthpiece that became all the craze a couple years ago. And I'm not trying to do any disservice to the particular companies that are out there that are doing this. But the added accoutrements to the mouthpieces are not allowed starting in 2026. So they're going to kind of phase them out this year again, kind of like what they did with the uniform rule is they put it out a couple of years in advance, stating, all right, well, I mean, players sometimes have mouth guards for a couple of years, which back in my day, I used to chew through it like it was a piece of gum. I would go through a new one each week. But the kids are having them because they're the swag, they're the drip, they're all the fun things, the accessories that the players like to wear. Well, starting in 2026, this rule is going to be put into play that the mouth guard must not pose health risks to the players or opponents, and it cannot have any unnecessary attachments. They are designed purely for the enhancement of player safety. Okay. Um, you've got Noxie, you've got all these different companies that are out there that are working on trying to make the game safer with the equipment and the regulations that they're putting forth with the equipment. Well, the mouth guards, not so much for the dental bill, but it's more so for the concussion aspect. Okay, that's the main reason for the mouth guards, is because when a player gets hit, their mouth clenches together, it is causing concussions when they don't have the mouthpieces. Yeah, it also can be extremely expensive with the dental bill, but it's more so for the concussion aspect, which again, we've talked about so many different times on this show, um, how that's playing a role. So we're looking out for the player safety. So they're looking to get rid of these different things. Again, they're looking to try to get the kids that are on the field playing football and not just trying to go out there for the show. Again, talking about fashion police stuff, um, but we do got to keep an eye on these things. Actually, before I even dive into the next one, and a rule that was talked about and put into place this year too, is only one mouthpiece. Can only have one. Again, I don't understand where that came from of having the two mouthpieces dangle, different colors. Again, the swag. Uh, See players having the mouth guard stuck into their helmet and another mouth guard in their mouth. And one that we had a couple of years ago, probably about 2, 3 years ago, was the player had the mouth guard dangling, but then he had a clear mouth guard in his mouth. Well, the rule is only one. So make sure that you're aware of that. All right, the next rule that came out from the NFHS. This one I personally don't understand as much, and this one's going to be coming out in 2027. But they're saying there's a SFIA specifications that are going to deal with the arm sleeves. Players are wearing the arm sleeves, and this is the same thing if it is a singular arm sleeve where they're just sliding it on and off, or if it's an arm sleeve that's attached to, again, not trying to put any plugs for the different companies, but say for the Under Armour shirts that players are wearing underneath it. The arm sleeves now are being designed that has almost like a rubberized interior on the forearm and the bicep to try to prevent the ball from slipping as much. Well, they're now going to make it mandatory that it kind of aligns with the glove rule that there must be an SFIA seal on the exterior to make sure that that arm sleeve meets the industry requirements. Um, I don't know if this is a health issue. I don't know if players have been getting injured because their hands have been getting stuck on the on the arm sleeve itself. So I'm not too sure why this one is coming out, but starting in 2027, all arm sleeves must be SFIA uh, regulations. Again, it goes hand in hand with the glove regulations that you see the players having all the gloves, the different stamps that are on the football, things like that. It's just trying to make sure that everything is in that it aligns properly. I don't know, maybe somebody was gaining an advantage and their arm sleeve was kind of like the old school uh Oakland Raiders cornerbacks with the stickum all over their body. Maybe some of them are a lot better than the others. But again, that's going to be something now that's going to fall upon us to make sure starting in 2027. All right, so this one here, our next rule is a little bit more significant now. Getting away from the equipment, now talking about the game itself. In high school, if a player, let's say a toss sweep was going to the outside, and a player had the ball punched out of their arm, and it was 3rd and 4 from the A 20-yard line, and the ball gets punched out, and it goes advanced past the line of scrimmage for 5 yards and goes out of bounds, that's going to be first down for A. They're gaining that extra yardage, and because they were the last one in possession at the time, they're still holding on to possession even though the ball went out of bounds. So they've now made this, and this kind of aligns with the majority of the other leagues. If the ball is fumbled forward out of bounds between goal lines, so from the goal line to the goal line, if it gets fumbled forward out of bounds, instead of getting the ball at the spot of where the ball goes out of bounds, the forwardmost point of the ball, it is now going back to the original spot of the fumble. So you got to be really, really precise now when we start throwing those bean bags down on a fumble and knowing where that fumble occurred. Because if the ball goes out of bounds, we're bringing that ball back to where the fumble happened. So in the last scenario I just gave you, if it's 3rd and 4 and the fumble the ball 5 yards forward, well, we're coming back that 5 yards that the ball advanced. Okay, so this is trying to prevent any unfair team advantages. And like I said, this is going hand in hand with a lot of the other leagues that we are seeing, um, equaling with the NCAA, with the NFL, the UFL, the European leagues, things like that. They're trying to, well, I shouldn't say they're trying to, but it kind of aligns it a little bit better. Now, this does not have anything to do with a fumble going out of bounds through the end zone. That rule still remains the same. And we're going to talk about force and momentum in another show. But if you fumble it forward and it goes out of the end zone, well, it's now going to be a touchback for the other team. So you will lose possession. So that rule still is the same. We are specifically talking about goal line to goal line, a fumble that goes forward, getting it at the spot of the fumble. If the fumble goes backwards now, if the ball goes either lateral to the ball carrier or behind the ball carrier, now they're still going to get the ball at the spot that the ball went out of bounds. This is specific now to a forward fumble. Um, so it does make a big difference in that. So it is something that's new, and again, something that we have to be on our A game when it comes to beanbags. All right, and the last, like I said, not many, but the last of our rule changes or rule clarification, excuse me, comes with six-player football rules. Now, I'm not going to lie, I am not familiar with six-player football rules at all. Here in New Jersey, we are 11 person. So when it comes to the rules, I don't really know them. But I know that there are still a lot of states out there that play the 6 person game, that play the 8 person game. So I know that there are modifications. So for those out there that do officiate those games, the rules clarification and the changes are the ball cannot advance beyond the line of scrimmage after a possession change. It clarifies ball movement rules for smaller team formats, and it provides more flexibility of play execution. I apologize. I don't really have much on that one. Um, Again, it's not my expertise, my area of knowledge. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've only seen it on video maybe once, so I'm not very familiar with it. But I know that okay, this is part of the NFHS newsletter, and it's going to be coming out, and it's already been emailed to everybody. But this one's going to be a little bit of a new one. So, with that being said, that's all we really have for this coming year. Um, Not much. The forward fumble one is probably going to be the biggest one that we're going to really need to pay attention to. Now, before I let everybody go, and I told you this one's going to be a short episode, look for next week on a new episode about Rule One. We're going to go right down the rules. Okay, rules one, two, right through them all. Some of them may be 2 week episodes. We may have to break them up for bigger rules or for clarification purposes. But we're going to go right through the list of the different rules. But what I'd like to hear from you, throw a comment on there. Shoot me an email, Mike D the referee at gmail.com, about what rule changes you've liked in the past couple of years. Probably one of the most common ones that we've heard of people talking about is the intentional grounding rule. And what are some rules that you would like to possibly see modified or changed, such as the fumble going out of bounds through the end zone being a touchback? So shoot me an email, throw a comment on there, hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons. And hey, if you're a sports fan and you're looking for that bucket list vacation, hit me up. I'm now a licensed travel agent. Let me worry about all of your travel stresses, and you worry about just enjoying the games. You could hit me up with that too. Um, Once again, thank you to all the listeners that are out there for all your support so far to this point. We will be having guests coming back on in the next upcoming weeks. With this one, my schedule didn't allow for me to hook up with some of the guests that I have in line. But we still have our guests coming up, and we still have our rules show coming up. So once again, thank you all, and hit me up. Hit me up with those questions. Hit me up with those comments about what rules you like, dislike, or would love to see implemented. Have a good night, ladies and gents. Be good, be safe. And for those of you that are working the flag football season, enjoy. Thank you.